Ferrari, the prancing horse, a brand that built its legacy on the roar of V12 engines and the precision of Italian craftsmanship. So why in late July 2025 did Ferrari secretly buy a Chinese electric sedan? And it's not just any EV, it's a Xiaomi SU7 Ultra. Was it benchmarking, panic, or the beginning of a new era? If you're into uncovering the real stories behind today's biggest car industry shakeups, hit that like button, subscribe to Carfax, and turn on notifications. Today we're unpacking how Ferrari went from dismissing EVs to quietly reverse engineering one built in Beijing. Ferrari is not new to electrification. The SF90, the 296 GTB, and the LaFerrari all use electric motors to supplement performance. But a full EV? That's a different game entirely. And Ferrari has been in no rush. Despite EU mandates, Ferrari's first EV was expected in 2026. Then it was delayed. Their first fully electric model was initially targeted for sometime next year, but by mid-2025, Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna admitted the launch had been pushed back to 2028, citing limited customer demand and the need to get it right. Another reason for the delay? Simple. Ferrari refuses to compromise its DNA. Sound, weight, emotion. These are much more than market terms. They're pillars of the Ferrari experience. Ferrari is not Tesla, and they are not chasing range or affordability. They are chasing emotion, passion, and status. An electric Ferrari must accelerate like a Rimac, but also feel like a 458 Italia. That's a tall, if not impossible, order. And so, when Ferrari engineers start buying and dissecting Chinese EVs, you can bet that it's much more than curiosity. It's calculated urgency. In late July 2025, eagle-eyed spotter at Italian Auto Leaks posted on X a picture of something unusual outside Ferrari headquarters in Maranello, a bright yellow Xiaomi SU7 Ultra leaving the premises. The car wasn't camouflaged or disguised, it looked showroom fresh, and it was driving out of Ferrari's own test facility. Soon after, Car News China and Electrek, two famous EV news websites, confirmed what seemed impossible. Ferrari had purchased the SU7 Ultra for internal benchmarking. Not leased, not borrowed, bought. Why would one of the world's most revered car makers test a Chinese electric sedan? The answer is because this wasn't just any EV. The SU7 Ultra had shattered Nürburgring lap records, boasted over 1,500 horsepower, and cost a fraction of what a Ferrari does. Ferrari took notice because this wasn't only a gimmick, it was a threat. The company has benchmarked rivals before. They bought McLaren 720S prototypes in 2019 and electric Porsches in 2021. But this marks the first time they've been publicly linked to a Chinese electric sedan. While benchmarking other sport car brands may seem common, a Xiaomi is not. That's a different kind of signal, a sign of times. Sources say Ferrari's engineering team wanted to study the tri-motor layout and torque vectoring system, Xiaomi's 800-volt battery architecture, its record-setting thermal management, and perhaps most critically, its weight distribution and chassis stiffness. Ferrari couldn't care less about the badge, they were impressed by the numbers, and that's what's worrying. If they're measuring themselves against a tech company turned automaker, the landscape is shifting faster than expected. Of course, Ferrari can build an electric vehicle, but building one that lives up to the myth of Ferrari seems nearly impossible right now. Sound is part of it, but more importantly, emotion through mechanics. The feel of a gearbox, the rhythm of a naturally aspirated or even a turbo engine taking its time to build power, the relationship between driver and machine. None of that comes naturally in an EV. Worse, Ferrari can't afford to fail. A mediocre electric car from Ferrari would be a scar on the brand almost impossible to overcome. And with companies like Xiaomi and Rimac pushing performance boundaries and each one building their brand's identity in completely different directions, the window for being first is gone. Now it's about being best or being forgotten. And Gen Z buyers, they don't dream of gated shifters, they want instant torque and over-the-air updates. For them, 0 to 60 in software matter more than V12 nostalgia. The SU7 Ultra is fast and smart. Xiaomi's HyperOS integrates driver profiles, real-time telemetry, and adaptive AI control, all standard. Ferrari's infotainment, meanwhile, still feels like an afterthought in many models. Could Ferrari adapt some of these tech principles? Possibly, but they'll do it the Ferrari way. Expect them to focus on driver-car interface with minimal distraction, battery cooling systems for consistent lap performance, ultra-fast charging tech, because a Ferrari EV shouldn't spend 40 minutes at a charger. And yes, software-driven performance tuning that responds like a living organism, not a laptop. The SU7 may be Chinese, but its performance is speaking the universal language of speed, and Ferrari is listening. All while still trying to bring back the buttons and analog feel their customers care about. That's the moment where Ferrari's pride meets hard data. Let's be honest, Ferrari didn't want this. They didn't want to be impressed by a $70,000 sedan, but they were. Swallowing their pride and dissecting a Chinese sedan isn't just a business move, it's a cultural earthquake felt from Maranello to Monaco. The SU7 Ultra, with its 1,500-plus horsepower and its sub-2-second 0 to 60 acceleration, proves that legacy is no longer a competitive advantage. Passion still matters, but now so does voltage, cooling loops, code. For Ferrari, this is a cultural wake-up call. They can't hide behind racing pedigree forever. The next generation of buyers, especially in China and the Middle East, care less about Le Mans and more about technology and connectivity, especially when it comes with speed attached to it. Buying this yellow SU7 was an act of survival for Ferrari, and let's be glad they're looking at it. If Ferrari's taking notes from the SU7 Ultra, their EV will be faster than anything they've ever built. Lighter than rival EVs, it will be infused with proprietary software, not just outsourced infotainment, and critically tuned to feel alive through simulated gearbox shifts, synthetic acoustics, and even weight redistribution for dynamic control. Rumors suggest Ferrari's first EV will debut as a limited edition ultra-luxury GT, priced well above the SF90. A second, more attainable EV is expected around 2028. But whatever they reveal, it will have one job: to silence the doubters and pray customers still value the prancing horse. Ferrari can't afford to release just a good electric car. It must be transformative. They can stick to their past or shape a new legacy where performance is electric, design is digital, and emotion is coded as much as it's crafted. But one thing is clear: when Ferrari starts studying Chinese sedans, the world has changed. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Ferrari's electric dilemma, give us a like, subscribe to Carfax, ring the bell, and drop your thoughts in the comments. What should Ferrari do next, and are they already too late? Is Ferrari's soul up for grabs, or are they just evolving? Drop your take below. Can the prancing horse survive the electric stampede? Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.